prior two speakers said about Lisfranc injuries. I see a little bit different patient population. I think John had a great chart there about low energy versus high injury. My world is not the high injury and Lisfranc injury. Mine is the more elite athlete. And it's a totally different type of Lisfranc injury, as I'll explain to you here in the next few minutes. So the mechanism of injury to the midfoot in sport is an indirect one, often lower energy. It's usually very low energy. It occurs on field surfaces. The classic appearance of this mechanism is, as you see here, it's a direct axial load to the foot, hyperextension through the forefoot, which then creates a bending plantar flexion issue through the midfoot itself. And then you get the split of the midfoot joints. So that's the classic, but that's not really what we see in field sports. What we actually see is that there's no contact, there's no axial load. You look at this guy up here on the top, all he's doing is he's engaging the offensive lineman. He's pushing him out of the way. He's got his forefoot engaged on the turf and he's twisting. And that's all that it takes to get a Lisfranc injury of this type. Low energy, twisting injury, no contact, no axial load. And this is what we're seeing more and more commonly. It's that you see the illustration at the bottom. It's that simple little engagement and you twist and boom, you actually tear the ligaments and you get these subtle varieties of Lisfranc injury through the midfoot itself. So again, these are very subtle injuries. A lot of times they are missed because the x-rays look normal and you have to just think about it. Interesting, this is not new. This whole idea of a non-contact, non-axial loading Lisfranc injury goes back to the 60s. This is a British JBJS article talking about, the separation of these joints with a simple twist. This is another article back in 1994 where they looked up all these college football players with Lisfranc injuries, and they found that 50% were created by twist, only 37 by axial load. And now we know this is not just football either. I took care of 3 professional soccer players this past year with a simple little twist and injury on the field, no contact, and had the classic subtle midfoot injury.